The shocking declaration. The crystalline halls of Proxima Station glittered with starlight from 1,000 different systems. Within its grand assembly chamber, representatives from 300 species gathered for what they expected to be another routine session of the Galactic Alliance. They were wrong. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the human podium, her dark eyes scanning the vast chamber. Around her, beings of every imaginable form shifted in their specialized seating arrangements. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others rested in pools of exotic liquids, while the more humanoid species occupied conventional seats. The low murmur of dozens of translation devices created a soft buzz that filled the cavernous space. High Chancellor Vextor, a towering crystalline entity from the Zephyrin Collective, called the assembly to order with a resonating chime that vibrated through everyone's bones. Its faceted surface sparkled with internal light as it spoke in frequencies that the translators rendered into various languages. Representatives of the Galactic Alliance, we convene to discuss matters of mutual concern and prosperity. The floor recognizes Ambassador Chen of Earth. Sarah took a deep breath, her fingers brushing against the data pad containing her prepared statement. The weight of humanity's decision pressed heavily on her shoulders, but her voice remained steady as she began to speak. Esteemed members of the Galactic Alliance, I stand before you today with an announcement that will fundamentally alter the course of our shared history. She paused, watching as attention sharpened across the chamber. After careful consideration and democratic process, the United Earth government has voted to withdraw from the Galactic Alliance, effective immediately. For 3 heartbeats, absolute silence reigned. Then chaos erupted. "This is preposterous," exclaimed Ambassador Takrath of the Danubian Empire, his tentacles flailing in agitation. "Humans cannot simply abandon their obligations." From the aquatic section, the Aquarian delegate's translated voice bubbled through the chamber. "Such rash action benefits no one. What prompted this decision?" Sarah raised her hand, and gradually the uproar subsided. For 75 years, humanity has contributed disproportionately to the Alliance's success. Our medical breakthroughs have saved countless lives across dozens of worlds. Our engineers have maintained critical infrastructure throughout Alliance space. Our peacekeepers have prevented conflicts in volatile regions. Yet we remain classified as a minor species with limited voting rights and restricted access to advanced technologies. Chancellor Vextor's crystalline form pulsed with a deep blue light, indicating concern. "Ambassador Chen, surely these matters can be addressed through proper channels. Withdrawal seems extreme." "With respect, Chancellor, we've pursued those channels for decades." Sarah's voice hardened. "Each time, we're told to be patient, that change takes time, that our contributions are valued but our status cannot be altered due to ancient protocols. Well, Earth has run out of patience." The Korathi representative, a being of pure energy contained in a humanoid-shaped field, flickered intensely. "You speak of contributions, yet you benefit from Alliance protection and trade networks. This withdrawal seems ungrateful." Sarah smiled grimly. Earth maintained its own defense capabilities long before joining the Alliance. As for trade, our analysis shows that we provide far more than we receive. Our merchant fleet handles 60% of hazardous cargo transport. Our agricultural innovations feed a quarter of Alliance worlds. Our software runs on 90% of Alliance systems. "But the protocols," began the vegan ambassador, a delicate insectoid being. "The protocols," Sarah interrupted, "were written 3,000 years ago, when your civilizations were already ancient and humanity was still figuring out bronze. They're outdated, discriminatory, and no longer serve the Alliance's best interests." Murmurs of shock and dismay rippled through the chamber. Never before had a member species so openly criticized the foundational documents of the Alliance. Chancellor Vextor attempted to regain control. "Ambassador Chen, perhaps a recess would allow cooler heads to prevail. We could form a committee to study these concerns." "No more committees," Sarah declared. "No more studies or reports that gather dust in archives. Earth's decision is final." We will complete an orderly withdrawal over the next 30 standard days. All human personnel will return to Earth space. Our technologies and methodologies will no longer be available to the Alliance. The implications began to sink in across the chamber. The Meridian delegate, whose world relied heavily on human medical expertise, looked visibly distressed. The Cassiopean representative, whose system's economy depended on human-maintained trade routes, appeared to be in shock. "This is madness," whispered Ambassador Zix of the Altarian Republic. "The humans have gone mad." But Sarah wasn't finished. Furthermore, Earth will be establishing its own interstellar agreements, separate from Alliance oversight. Any species wishing to maintain relations with humanity may negotiate directly with us on equal terms. This final statement sent shockwaves through the Assembly. It wasn't just a withdrawal. It was a direct challenge to the Alliance's monopoly on interstellar relations. As the session dissolved into heated debate, Sarah quietly gathered her materials and left the podium. Her security detail, composed of elite Earth Forces personnel, formed a protective corridor as she made her way to the exit. Outside the chamber, her aide, Lieutenant James Rodriguez, fell into step beside her. "That went about as expected," he murmured. "Better, actually," Sarah replied. "They didn't try to detain us. They wouldn't dare. The Resilience is in orbit with a full battle group." As they walked through Proxima Station's gleaming corridors, Sarah noticed the subtle signs of humanity's presence everywhere. The hybrid technology interfaces, the human-designed life support improvements, the Earth-standard safety protocols. The Alliance had become dependent on human innovation without even realizing it. They were about to find out just how dependent. Back in the Assembly chamber, Chancellor Vextor struggled to maintain order as representatives shouted over each other. The Zethran leader's crystalline structure flickered with stress patterns as it processed the unprecedented situation. "Order. We must have order." The Chancellor's voice boomed through the translation systems. "Earth's withdrawal, while regrettable, is their sovereign right under Article 47 of the Alliance Charter." "But the consequences," protested the Rigelian ambassador. "Their medical teams are treating a plague outbreak on my homeworld as we speak. And their engineers are halfway through upgrading our orbital defense grid," added the Protean delegate. One by one, representatives began listing critical projects and services that would be affected by humanity's departure. The scale of Earth's integration into Alliance operations became horrifyingly clear. Chancellor Vextor raised its appendages for silence. "We must convene an emergency session of the Inner Council. In the meantime, I suggest all delegations assess the impact of Earth's withdrawal on their respective sectors and report back within 1 standard day." As the Assembly dispersed, small groups formed throughout the chamber, some discussing contingency plans, others debating whether Earth could be persuaded to reconsider. A few forward-thinking representatives quietly instructed their aides to prepare proposals for direct negotiations with Earth. The age of human subordination in the Galactic Alliance had ended. The age of consequences was about to begin. Word count, 999. Part 2. Immediate Aftermath. The news of Earth's withdrawal spread through Alliance space like a supernova shockwave. Within hours, emergency meetings convened on every major world, and the galactic stock markets plummeted as traders tried to calculate the economic impact. On the medical station orbiting Rigel VI, Dr. Maria Santos received her recall orders while in the middle of treating a virulent plague that had already claimed thousands of Rigelian lives. She stood in her hazmat suit, looking at the rows of patients whose recovery depended on human medical protocols. "You can't leave," pleaded Chief Physician Calvar, his blue skin pale with distress. "We haven't mastered your treatment methods yet. Without your team, thousands more will die." Maria's heart ached, but her orders were clear. "I'm sorry, Calvar. I truly am. We've uploaded all our research data to your systems. You have 30 days to learn everything we know." 30 days. Calvar's voice cracked. "It took your species decades to develop these treatments. Then you better be quick learners, Maria said softly, hating herself for the coldness in her voice. But Earth had made its decision, and she was a soldier as much as a doctor. Similar scenes played out across Alliance space. On the industrial world of Castor Prime, human engineers began shutting down the automated factories they designed and maintained. Production lines that supplied everything from starship components to household goods ground to a halt. Factory supervisor Chen Wei faced a delegation of desperate Castorian officials. "Please," begged Administrator Flux, his mechanical appendages whirring anxiously. "At least show us how to maintain the systems. Our entire economy depends on these factories." "All technical manuals have been uploaded to your databases," Chen replied formally. "However, I should warn you that the adaptive AI systems require intuitive understanding that can't be taught from manuals alone." "But that could take years to develop." Chen shrugged. "Then perhaps the Alliance should have thought of that before treating Earth like a second-class member." In the Outer Rim, Captain Jake Thompson of the Earth Defense Force received orders to withdraw his peacekeeping battalion from the volatile hypersector. For years, his forces had prevented the aggressive Hydrani from overwhelming their peaceful neighbors. Commander Thompson called out Governor Sela of the Taz City colony, her feathers ruffled with agitation. "You can't abandon us. The Hydrani fleet is already massing at our borders." Jake looked at the worried faces of the colonial leaders gathered in his command center. "I'm truly sorry, Governor, but my orders are explicit. All Earth forces must return to human space immediately. They'll slaughter us." "Request protection from the Alliance fleet," Jake suggested, knowing full well that the nearest Alliance battle group was weeks away. As human personnel withdrew from their posts across the galaxy, the first cracks in the Alliance's foundation became visible. Communications networks, largely maintained by human technicians, began experiencing glitches. Trade routes, optimized by human algorithms, fell into disarray as ships reverted to inefficient pre-human patterns. On Earth, President Elena Volkov monitored the situation from the Global Command Center in Geneva. Her advisors filled the room with nervous energy as reports flooded in from across human space. "Madam President," called Defense Minister Alexander Petrov, "the Danibians are threatening military action if we don't reverse our decision." Elena smiled coldly. "Let them try. Our fleet is already in position, and unlike their ships, ours don't rely on a patchwork of technologies held together by human expertise." "The economic impact is severe," reported Finance Minister Yuki Tanaka. "Markets are in freefall across 3 sectors. Temporary pain for long-term gain," Elena responded. "Once the Alliance realizes they need us more than we need them, they'll come to the negotiating table as equals." Intelligence Director Amara Okafor stepped forward with a datapad. "We're detecting unusual activity in several border systems. It appears some Alliance members are mobilizing their fleets." "To attack us?" Elena asked. "No, Madam President. To attack each other. Without our peacekeepers, old rivalries are resurfacing." Back on Proxima Station, Chancellor Vextor convened an emergency session of the Inner Council. The 12 most powerful Alliance members gathered in a secure chamber, their holographic representations flickering with tension. "The situation is deteriorating rapidly," Vextor announced. "Human withdrawal has created power vacuums in 17 sectors. Medical crises are developing on 4 worlds. Economic systems are destabilizing across the core territories." "This is blackmail," thundered the Draconian representative. "The humans planned this dependency to hold us hostage." "No," countered the Centaurian delegate, her voice calm but firm. "We created this dependency by taking human contributions for granted. They warned us for decades that the current arrangement was unsustainable." "What do you propose?" asked the Andromedan counselor. "Capitulate to their demands." "Perhaps we should consider why those demands seem so unreasonable," the Centaurian replied. "Equal representation, access to technology sharing. These are rights we grant to species far less contributory than humans." The debate raged for hours as the Inner Council grappled with a truth they'd long ignored. Humanity had quietly become the glue holding the Alliance together. Meanwhile, aboard the Earth flagship Resilience, Admiral Chen Huangdai reviewed tactical displays showing Alliance fleet movements. His executive officer, Commander Nadia Kowalski, approached with an update. "Sir, 3 Alliance battle groups are converging on the Vega jump gate. They claim it's a routine exercise." In the middle of a political crisis, Chen scoffed. "How convenient. Alert all commands to condition yellow. If they want to test our resolve, they'll find we're more than ready." "Admiral," called the communications officer, "we're receiving a priority message from the Ta City colony. They're begging for our peacekeepers to return. The Hydrani have begun their invasion." Chen's jaw tightened. He'd served alongside the Ta City Defense Forces, knew many of them personally. But orders were orders. Acknowledge receipt. Express our regrets. Nothing more. As night fell across Earth's eastern hemisphere, cities glowed with activity. Unlike the panic-gripping Alliance worlds, human settlements buzzed with purposeful energy. Factories that had been producing goods for alien markets retooled for human needs. Research facilities that had been sharing breakthroughs with the Alliance refocused on purely human advancement. In her private office, President Volkov received a secure communication from Ambassador Chen. "Madam President, the Alliance is beginning to fracture. Several minor species are approaching us for separate agreements." As expected, Elena nodded. "Have our diplomatic corps ready to receive them. But make it clear, any new relationships will be on our terms." "Understood. There's something else. Intelligence suggests the Draconians are planning a show of force. They want to prove the Alliance doesn't need humanity." Elena's expression hardened. "Then let them learn the hard way. Humanity spent too long being underestimated. It's time the galaxy understood what we're truly capable of." As the first day of withdrawal ended, the Galactic Alliance faced a stark reality. They hadn't just lost a member species. They'd lost the species that had quietly become essential to their survival. And now, they would have to face the consequences of their arrogance. The age of human patience was over. The age of human power had begun. The ripple effect. 2 weeks into Earth's withdrawal, the galactic economy teetered on the brink of collapse. The Interstellar Trade Commission reported that commerce had dropped by 40% across major shipping lanes. Without human-designed logistics software, cargo ships piled up at spaceports, creating bottlenecks that rippled through supply chains on hundreds of worlds. On the financial hub of New Arcturus, trader Velmax watched his fortune evaporate as markets crashed. His scaled fingers trembled over holographic displays, showing red indicators across every sector. "How did we not see this coming?" He muttered to his assistant, Cree. "Humans were involved in everything." "Sir, the medical supply futures just dropped another 20 points," Cree reported. "Several pharmaceutical companies are shutting down production. They can't replicate human synthesis methods." Velmax slumped in his chair. "Get me a line to Earth's Trade Ministry. Maybe they'll accept private contracts." "Sir, they're not accepting any calls from Alliance citizens." The medical crisis deepened daily. On Centauri Prime, hospitals overflowed with patients as alien doctors struggled to implement human treatment protocols. Chief Medical Officer Talana reviewed mortality statistics with growing horror. "We've lost 30% more patients this week than last," she told her staff. "The human diagnostic algorithms aren't functioning properly without their real-time updates." "Can't we reverse engineer their systems?" asked the junior physician. Talana's antennae drooped. "We've tried. Their medical eye uses intuitive learning patterns we can't replicate. It's not just about having the data. It's about understanding how humans think." Across the core worlds, infrastructure systems began failing. Power grids flickered, water purification plants malfunctioned, and transportation networks ground to a halt. The Alliance had integrated human engineering so thoroughly that removing it was like pulling out a vital organ. In the council chambers, A heated debate revealed the depth of the crisis. "This is economic warfare," shouted the Denibian ambassador. "The humans planned this collapse." "No," countered Ambassador Kavera of the Tau Ceti colonies, her feathers bristling. "We did this to ourselves. For 50 years, humans offered full partnership. We gave them token representation while exploiting their innovations." Chancellor Vextor attempted to maintain order. "The question now is how to move forward." "Forward." Kavera laughed bitterly. "We can't even maintain what we have. My world relied on human peacekeepers. Now the Hydrani are bombing our cities." On Earth, President Volkov met with her cabinet to review the situation. The mood was somber but determined. "Intelligence reports show the alliance is fracturing," Director Okafor reported. "Several species are considering following our exit. The Vegans and Orions have requested separate trade agreements," added Foreign Minister Hassan. "They're offering technology transfers and resource rights." Volkov nodded. "Proceed with negotiations, but maintain our position. No agreement without full equality." Defense Minister Petrov cleared his throat. "Madam President, there's something else. Historical records show the alliance has done this before." "Done what?" "Exploited emerging species for their innovations, then discarded them when they demanded equality. The Arcturians, the Rigelians, both were once junior members like us." Volkov's eyes narrowed. "How did those situations resolve?" "They didn't. Those species accepted their subordinate status or face economic isolation. But those species didn't have humanity's adaptability," Volkov mused, "or our stubbornness." In the Andromeda sector, Admiral Zorak of the Alliance Navy prepared for what he called Operation Demonstration. His fleet would conduct war games near Earth space, showing that the Alliance remained powerful without human support. "Admiral," his tactical officer warned, "our targeting systems are showing errors. The human software patches are no longer updating. Use the backup systems," Zorak ordered. "Sir, those haven't been maintained in decades. They're practically obsolete." Zorak's confidence wavered, but he pressed on. "We'll manage. The Alliance Navy existed long before humans joined us." Back on Earth, a different kind of preparation was underway. In underground facilities across the planet, scientists worked on projects that had been shelved during humanity's Alliance membership. Free from restrictions on dangerous research, they pushed the boundaries of physics, genetics, and artificial intelligence. Dr. Sarah Nguyen led a team developing quantum entanglement communications that would make current FTL transmissions look primitive. "Ironic," she told her colleagues. "The Alliance restricted this research as destabilizing. Now they'll have to watch us leap ahead while they struggle with their outdated systems." The first major crisis struck when a supernova remnant unexpectedly destabilized, threatening 3 inhabited systems. Alliance scientists scrambled to predict the radiation patterns, but their models, developed by human astrophysicists, no longer received crucial updates. Emergency Coordinator Jaxil pleaded with the Council. "We need human computational support. Millions of lives are at stake." Chancellor Vextor reluctantly authorized contact with Earth. The response was polite but firm. "Earth's resources are currently allocated to protecting human interests. We suggest consulting Alliance Scientific Division." When the radiation wave hit, 2 colonies suffered catastrophic damage. The third, which had secretly maintained connections with human scientists, received enough warning to evacuate. The contrast wasn't lost on Alliance members. Species began reaching out to Earth through back channels, offering concessions in exchange for continued access to human expertise. President Volkov addressed Earth's population in a global broadcast. "For generations, we gave our best to the galaxy and received second-class status in return. No more. The Alliance is learning that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our resources. It's our refusal to accept limitations placed upon us by others." As she spoke, reports arrived of 5 more species announcing their intention to leave the Alliance. The interstellar order that had existed for millennia was crumbling. And from its ashes, something new was emerging, with humanity at its center. In the depths of space, aboard the hidden research station Prometheus, human scientists achieved a breakthrough that would change everything. They successfully created a stable wormhole, making instantaneous travel possible. The technology the Alliance had deemed too dangerous for junior species was now exclusively in human hands. Dr. Michael Chang stared at the swirling portal. Should we share this with the Alliance? His colleague, Dr. Aisha Patel, shook her head. They had their chance to treat us as equals. Now they can watch us reshape the galaxy on our terms. The ripple effect of Earth's withdrawal was becoming a tsunami. The Alliance faced a choice: adapt to a new reality where humans held the cards, or collapse under the weight of their own arrogance. The galaxy would never be the same.